Orange juice, bright, zesty, and practically synonymous with breakfast, has a surprising story simmering beneath its sunny surface. We reach for a glass first thing in the morning, confident it'll be sweet, energizing, and all around feel good. It's so familiar that we rarely stop to wonder, where does all that juice actually come from? For decades, we've been told it's 100% pure, harvested from picturesque groves, and sent straight to our tables. Yet behind that comforting label lies a global supply chain, sophisticated technology, and sometimes controversial methods that keep the supermarket shelves stocked, no matter the season. From the American Orange Belt in Florida to distant plantations in Brazil, and from futuristic flavor labs to the lasting scars of orchard diseases, you might be surprised to learn how many secrets can be squeezed into a single carton. Before diving into the modern complexities, it helps to understand how Florida became the epicenter for American orange juice in the first place. With balmy subtropical temperatures and sandy, well-drained soil, Florida seemed destined for citrus greatness. By the mid-20th century, the Sunshine State was shipping crates of fresh oranges nationwide, especially in winter months when colder regions were starved for bright flavors. The TV commercials showing sunlit groves and families enjoying OJ on breezy porches weren't just marketing ploys. Florida oranges genuinely reigned supreme in both quality and quantity. But nature has a habit of upending even the most comfortable industries. Hurricanes battered the state's groves repeatedly, ripping fruit from branches and uprooting trees in catastrophic numbers. Then came an even more insidious problem, an illness called citrus greening. This disease, spread by small insects, caused oranges to grow misshapen or remain in a perpetual state of unripeness, with a sour flavor and drastically reduced juice content. Growers fought back with pesticides, quarantines, and newly engineered tree varieties that promised better resistance. Yet the disease marched on, leaving swaths of once flourishing orchards looking barren and hopeless. The result? A dramatic plummet in Florida's orange output, the kind that shook an entire industry. Amid Florida's struggles, Brazil stepped in to fill the void. After all, Brazilians had been growing oranges on a massive scale for decades, thanks to a warm climate and abundant farmland. But it wasn't just about climate. Brazilian agribusiness firms expanded aggressively, investing in vast plantations geared specifically toward juice processing. By the time Florida's troubles started mounting, Brazil was already quietly producing a significant share of the world's orange juice. It didn't take long for major American brands to turn to their South American counterparts, forging partnerships to keep up with consumers' steady thirst. Now, if you inspect the fine print on many American orange juice labels, you might see that some portion of the liquid inside is Brazilian in origin. Whether you view that as a positive display of global cooperation or a slight misdirection from marketing teams, it's the reality of modern OJ production. A year-round dance of shipping, blending, and rebranding that ensures store shelves never go empty. Yet few of us pause to think about how oranges are plucked from trees in the first place, let alone the controversies swirling around that process. Images of orchard workers delicately hand-selecting perfect oranges aren't entirely fictional. Small-scale and family-run groves do often rely on manual harvesting, focusing on minimal tree damage and choosing only fruit at peak ripeness. But large corporations managing thousands of acres need a swifter method. Enter the mechanized shakers, towering machines that grip or straddle trees, then vibrate them so fiercely that ripe fruit rains down onto conveyor systems. It's efficient, yes, but some insiders question whether these intense vibrations might damage trees' health over time or bruise oranges in ways that subtly affect juice flavor. Others discuss a different worry: labor conditions. Rumors of low wages, physically grueling hours, and minimal job security have surfaced in some of the biggest citrus-producing regions, issues that remain complicated and, for some critics, morally concerning. Once the fruit arrives at processing facilities, it undergoes multiple transformations that seldom make it into a brand's marketing narrative. Early on, oranges get sorted by size, an unglamorous but crucial step. Each variety, whether it's the popular Valencia or lesser-known Hamlins, fits a specific reamer inside the machines that do the squeezing. A standard orchard will time different citrus blooms so they can maintain near-constant supply. Meanwhile, giant processing plants don't just press the juice and call it a day. They also strip away oxygen in a process called deaeration, to keep the juice from oxidizing too soon, and they separate out the oils found in orange peels, storing them in big vats. Those fragrant oils might end up in cosmetics, or be refined back into a flavor pack that brands can add into your juice for consistency. If a given harvest is too tangy, they can tweak the final flavor by blending in extra sweet orange essence. If it lacks aroma, they can reintroduce potent oils to perk up the scent. It's all done within the legal boundaries of calling it 100% orange juice. But it's a level of product fine-tuning many consumers never realize is happening behind the scenes. Equally fascinating is the difference between from concentrate and not from concentrate. Commercials might imply that not from concentrate is somehow fresher, but the picture is more complicated. To make concentrate, producers remove most of the water content through evaporation, leaving a thick, syrup-like substance that can be shipped in smaller volumes, then rehydrated at destination plants or bottling facilities. In contrast, not from concentrate juice typically undergoes flash pasteurization to kill off microbes and extend shelf life without removing its water. This approach requires enormous refrigerated storage tanks, sometimes holding millions of gallons. Though the flavor might stay closer to a just squeezed taste, it can still be stored for quite some time under certain conditions. Food scientists maintain that both processes retain the essential vitamins and flavors, especially after flavor pack adjustments, making them equally pure by industry definitions. Nonetheless, marketing departments have latched onto the phrase, "not from concentrate," to convey an image of freshness, prompting many shoppers to pay a premium for what they believe is a superior, more natural product. Meanwhile, orchard owners face a looming question. Can large-scale orange farming survive the next wave of climate unpredictability, water shortages, and invasive diseases? Some are hedging their bets by moving north, planting experimental groves in states like Georgia, or even exploring greenhouse-based systems. Others are tinkering with advanced irrigation techniques, employing sensors that monitor soil moisture so precisely they can deliver just enough water to each tree, both to minimize waste and to handle drier conditions. Layered on top of that are efforts to breed disease-resistant tree varieties. Entire labs have sprung up around the idea of genetically tweaking citrus rootstock to withstand everything from citrus greening to newly emerging fungi. Yet progress is slow, and each new solution can open the door to other unforeseen problems. It's a delicate balancing act. The classic orchard lifestyle we see on postcards collides head-on with the cutting-edge science of crop engineering. Of course, none of these efforts come cheap. The cost of high-tech orchard management, improved disease control, and advanced processing is substantial. While big corporate players can shoulder these expenses, passing some of it on to consumers, or offsetting it by scaling up even more, small and mid-sized growers might struggle to keep up. Some eventually bow out of the market, selling their land to developers or switching to less disease-prone crops like blueberries. These transitions can shake local economies, which have historically relied on the citrus trade for jobs and tourism. You might see festivals celebrating the orange harvest, or local processing plants that once hummed with activity shut down, replaced by subdivisions or strip malls. It's a glimpse into how a beloved product's entire ecosystem can shift when nature and the marketplace join forces. While the orchard side of the story is dramatic enough, the production pipeline that whisks the juice into supermarkets is its own marvel. High-speed conveyors, automated weigh stations that confirm each bottle is precisely filled, and specialized cappers that seal thousands of containers per hour exemplify modern efficiency. Some factories use robotic arms that place finished juice cartons onto pallets with military precision, wrapping them in plastic for stable shipping. The timeline from orchard to grocery aisle can be shockingly short for not from concentrate varieties, just a matter of days if everything is perfectly timed. For concentrate, the timeline is more flexible. Producers might store the concentrate for months, waiting for orders or favorable market prices before reconstituting and bottling it. The scale is so immense that some manufacturers churn out 500,000 gallons daily, a volume that feels almost unimaginable when thinking back to that single glass on your breakfast table. Then there's the consumer side. Have we fallen for myths crafted by savvy marketing? Some nutritionists argue that, while orange juice is still a great source of vitamin C, it's not exactly a health food if you drink it in excess. Much of the fruit's natural fiber doesn't make it into the final product, and the sugar content can spike insulin if you down it by the pint. Still, the beverage remains deeply ingrained in many cultures as a symbol of health and energy. In that sense, it's a bit like cereal or coffee, an everyday staple that shapes morning rituals in countless households. For all the talk of new superfoods, diet trends, and plant-based alternatives, OJ endures. Could it be that we're emotionally attached to that bright color and tangy taste as much as, or even more than, we are to any perceived nutritional benefits? Underneath all of these practical and emotional layers, a quieter debate persists about transparency and consumer rights. Should labels clearly say this juice has been stored for up to a year in a tank devoid of oxygen, with reintroduced natural flavor oils to restore taste? Or is 100% orange juice enough for shoppers who just want a quick, refreshing drink? Regulators have set certain guidelines, but these can vary by country. The FDA in the United States, for instance, requires that reintroduced flavors must come only from oranges, thereby preserving the 100% claim. Many consumer advocates argue that while these rules are technically fair, they still leave room for misconceptions. Others respond that if the flavors are indeed from the same fruit, there's no point burdening labels with detail that might just confuse people. Ultimately, the question is whether it's our right to know precisely how that taste is engineered, or if we're content trusting the brand. Amid all this uncertainty, the quest to keep OJ flowing continues. Research labs in both Florida and Brazil, sometimes partnered with universities or independent biotech firms, push forward on new cultivars that can handle shifting weather and resist the dreaded greening. They experiment with cross-pollinating different citrus relatives, aiming for hardier trees that still bear fruit, sweet enough for consumer standards. If they succeed, it could herald a renaissance in American orange production, particularly in areas hammered by storms or disease. If they fail, Brazil and other global players might take an even larger slice of the juice market. Some experts warn that there's also a risk in relying too heavily on one or two major suppliers. If a disease outbreak or climate event hits those regions, the entire OJ supply chain could wobble. But until that day comes, companies keep forging deals and building supply routes, ensuring that no matter the circumstances, we can always find orange juice on store shelves. So, could we see a future where technology transforms orange groves into fully enclosed, climate-controlled operations free from pests and viruses? Or might we see a pivot away from oranges altogether if diseases worsen and climate challenges become too severe? For now, the answer is uncertain. Critics have suggested that we might someday shift to hybrid fruits, citrus crossbreeds that deliver a similar flavor but require fewer resources. Another possibility is advanced greenhouse systems that use hydroponics or aeroponics, protecting the plants from outside infestations. But with the planet's population continuing to grow, the pressure to produce affordable food is intense. For every orchard that invests in sophisticated solutions, another orchard might choose to scale back or even exit the business entirely. Meanwhile, marketing teams stay busy promoting the romance of fresh from the grove, knowing that this nostalgic imagery has been a marketing cornerstone for decades. Like the old Florida postcards that showed enormous oranges overshadowing palm trees, the orange juice brand story is partially built on bright illusions. Yet illusions aside, each sip we take is more connected to science, global economics, and intricate farming challenges than most of us ever suspected. By the time that golden liquid hits your glass, it's gone through a labyrinth of orchard negotiations, shipping routes, storage solutions, chemical analyses, and brand strategizing. With so many moving parts, one might wonder if we'll ever look at our morning OJ the same way again. Perhaps we'll merely be impressed at the ingenuity that keeps it tasting so good year after year. Or maybe we'll grow more skeptical of that pure label and push for total transparency about flavor packs, foreign-sourced fruit, and extended storage times. Opinions will vary widely. But there's no denying that orange juice is far more than just the sum of its squeezed oranges. It's become a cultural staple, a scientific playground, and an increasingly global commodity, all packaged neatly with the promise of vitality and sunshine.